Hey guys, it's Elliot. I just wanted to cast some vision really quick about worship and some of the things we have coming up. First of all, tomorrow night in the youth stream, we're going to start using some of the new footage and audio that we got in a recording a couple of weeks ago with the help of Brennan Johnson, who does film and production stuff, Jesse Harbour and Chris Molitor, who do sound and post-production, as well as a couple of Sunday worship leaders, Joel and Shannon, and our very own student, Rachel. We recorded 5 songs for this season, and we're approaching this new model with the hope that we as a youth group become more comfortable with the songs that we're singing, and we get to know them a little bit better, because in my experience, the better you know a song, the more you can sing it from the heart and the more impactful it becomes. So we're approaching this hopeful that that is what happens, but it also comes with some other benefits. First of all, we get higher quality audio and visual, which is always great because we're spending more time on perfecting the experience and putting things together. And also, we get more time and capacity to prepare and rehearse and put things together. So, that being said, just because this first recording is said and done doesn't mean that we're quitting for the next couple of months and we're not going to do anything. We're actually jumping right on top of preparing for the next recording. So, if you have any interest at all in getting involved in worship, if you play an instrument, or if you sing, or if you want to play an instrument, or you want to sing, if you feel led to serving in worship, please don't hesitate to DM us or let us know. I'd love to walk beside you to raise you up into that position, because my end goal is to get our worship team a fully student-led worship ministry. So again, if you have any interest at all, please let us know, and I'll be reaching out to hopefully get you on the roster for the next recording. Thanks, guys.
I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. And I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. And I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. And I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. And I believe through every battle, through every heartbreak, through every circumstance, I believe that you are my fortress. Oh, and you are my portion. You are my hiding place. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. And I believe through every blessing and every promise, through every breath I take, I believe that you are provider, oh, and you are protector. Yes, you are the one I love, yeah. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. And I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. And I believe you are. Cause it's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you meet me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears fears and doubts, they can all come to, because they can't stay long when I'm here with you. And it's a new horizon, and I'm set on you, and you meet me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come to, because they can't stay long when I hear you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are. And it's a new horizon, and I'm set on you, and you meet me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come to, because they can't stay long, 'cause I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are.
Well, hey, what's up, all you cool cat and kittens? Isn't that what they say, right? Isn't that the... Anyways, hope you're doing well. Welcome to youth. Before we jump into the sermon, I have a few announcements for you. The first, a week from today, November 18th, is Friendsgiving. And what that is where we're going to come together in our small groups, and we're going to eat a meal and just enjoy being with one another. And so make sure you invite a friend. You get excited about that and you don't miss out, because November 18th, we're going to eat good and have some fun together. The next thing that I have for you is this Christmas season, if you want to participate, we're going to go through an Advent book devotional together by Louis Giglio. And the reason why I think this is such a cool thing that you could participate in is it's easy to get lost in the rush and the season of Christmas and really miss the point of what it's all about. And so I would encourage you, man, this isn't something that you have to do, but if you want to be a part of this and go through this devotional, this Advent devotional in the holiday season, it will cost $5 to you. And what you can do is DM us on social media. You can reach out to me, let me know you want to be a part of it. And that's something we're going to do as a youth ministry for anyone that wants to be a part of it. We're going to jump back into the book of Daniel. We kicked off last week by reading chapter 1. And what we really saw demonstrated from Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is how to honor your convictions and still love and serve the people around you, right? Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were brought into exile. They were taken from their homeland, and they were brought in to serve the king. And they had to navigate these tensions of how do we follow and honor God and still love and serve and care for the king, for the people around us. And they, man, were put to the ultimate test multiple times. And we saw in chapter 1, right, how they were being forced to eat these foods that went against their convictions. And so they brought up a question, right, of what does it look like for us to do this? Can we try it out and see what happens? And how God totally worked and moved and used the way that they approached, without compromising their convictions, but trying to serve and love the people around them. And we're going to continue really in this same theme of what does it look like, man, to honor Jesus, to be a follower of Jesus when we're put in tough positions. And chapter 2, the intensity rises of them being servants to King Nebuchadnezzar and how to still follow God in the midst of it. And so what we're going to do in our small groups this evening is we're going to read chapter 2, Daniel chapter 2 together, and we're going to read it and we're going to talk about it. But there's a few things that I want to bring up for you to think about as you read and discuss. What happens in Daniel chapter 2 is one night King Nebuchadnezzar has a dream. And he is like, man, this dream, he is interested in it. He's thinking about it. He wants to know what it means. He wants an explanation as to what this dream means. Have you ever had a dream like that where you're like, I don't know how a pet monkey and my grandma and my friend from third grade who I haven't seen in 6 years, how they all ended up in my dream. What does that mean, right? And so he wants to know what this dream means. And so he calls all the smartest people together, his magicians, and he brings everyone in and he says, tell me this dream. I want to know what it means. And no one is able to interpret it. They don't know what it means. It says in chapter 2, verse 10, it says, the astrologers replied to the king, no one on earth can tell the king his dream. And no king, however great and powerful, has ever asked such a thing of any magician, enchanter, or astrologer. The king's demand is impossible. So the king wanted to know what his dream meant, and he commanded that they tell him what it means. And they said, this is impossible. We don't know. We can't interpret this for you. And see, Nebuchadnezzar was a little cray-cray. Okay, he was a little cray-cray. And he would be cold one minute, hot the other. You never knew what you were going to get with old King Nebuchadnezzar. Well, he gets angry. He gets angry and he says, okay, fine. You can all be beheaded. We'll kill you for not telling me my dream. You want to talk about the stakes being high? You want to talk about intensity? They went from tell me my dream to because you won't tell me or can't tell me, you're going to die for this. And what happens is, and because of this king's decree to have them all executed, to be killed, he says, because of the king's decree, men were sent to find and kill Daniel and his friends. So I said beheaded. I don't actually know if they were going to be beheaded. I'm sorry. They were going to get executed. And what they do is they go to kill Daniel and his friends. And when Arioch, I'm in verse 14 if you're following with me, when Arioch, the commander of the king's guard, came to kill them, it says Daniel handled the situation with wisdom and discretion. When you're faced with tough situations like that, man, and in this case, Daniel's life is on the line. Would you say when the pressure is on, do you handle situations with wisdom and with calmness and with an understanding and a bigger perspective? I know that's super challenging, but this is how Daniel responds. He responds with wisdom and he asks a question. Again, another question is what he brings to the table. He says, why has the king issued such a harsh decree? So Arioch, he tells him what had happened, that the king had this dream, wants it to be explained to him. No one can explain it, and so he's mad and he's going to have them executed. And then Daniel, what he does is he asks Arioch, he says, hey, go to the king and ask him for more time. That I need more time to be able to interpret this dream for him. And so Arioch goes back to request this from the king. And Daniel goes home and he tells his friends what had happened. And they urge him to ask the God of heaven to show them his mercy by telling them the secret so they would not be executed along with all the other wise men of Babylon. on a side note, this has nothing to do with what I was planning on talking about, but I think it's interesting what type of friends Daniel had. What is Daniel's friend's first response? Daniel, we need to get on our knees and pray. It's like we need to see God and ask God for deliverance and for his help. Man, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. The power of friendship and having friends that point you to Jesus. Because in moments like this where your life is on the line, it could be easy to run and flee or run from the hard thing. But what do they say to Daniel? They say, Daniel, we need to pray. We need to seek God. There's power in friendships, my friend. And so they seek God. They seek God. And that night, the secret, what the dream meant, was revealed to Daniel in a vision. It was revealed to him. God came through and gave him the explanation of the dream. And then in verse 20, this is how Daniel responds to God giving him the dream. He praises God. He praises God. And I find this prayer so timely and so good for us to hear. It's starting in verse 20. It says, he said, praise the name of God forever and ever, for he has all wisdom and power. He controls the course of world events. He removes kings and sets up other kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the scholars. He reveals deep and mysterious things and knows what lies hidden in darkness. Though he is surrounded by light, I thank and praise you, God of my ancestors, for you have given me wisdom and strength. You have told me what we asked of you and revealed to us what the king demanded. You guys are going to read chapter 2 together, but there's a couple of points. There's 3 things that I want you to think about as you read this, and 3 takeaways that I took away from reading chapter 2. The first thing is there is power in a question. There is power in a question. I find it so interesting when Daniel is faced with this pressure of he's about to get executed, and he approaches Arioch with this question: why is the king being so harsh? Why is the king in the state that he's in? And so I think about when it comes to sharing my faith with my friends that don't know Jesus, when it comes to arguments or having conversations with people that I disagree with, when it comes to trying to understand where someone is at, when it comes to just walking out life in relationships with people, there is power in a question. Instead of coming to someone with all the answers or trying to prove our point or trying to defend ourselves, there is such power in just asking a question. Saying, what's going on in your life? How are you doing? Why do you think that way? Or where does that perspective come from? Or, man, I feel like you're upset or there's something going on. Are you okay? What's going on? Versus assuming. There's power in a question. The second thing, pressure will either expose you or propel you. Pressure will either expose you or propel you. Daniel was in this position where there was so much pressure on him. I mean, think about it. You either are going to figure out what this dream means and explain it to Nebuchadnezzar, or you're going to get executed. That is a ton of pressure. And when we're put in those types of positions where we feel pressure, where we feel the heaviness of life, where maybe things are going on at home that are really hard, or school, man, you're struggling in your schoolwork, or maybe there's just brokenness going on in that relationship, right? And we feel this pressure and weight on us. It's going to either expose us, meaning, man, I'm actually more distant from Jesus than I think, or I'm actually relying on myself or my own abilities versus seeking Jesus and relying on him, or it's going to propel us towards Jesus. Again, when Daniel is faced with the pressure, Man, it could have brought him to this place of being exposed and trying to do it on his own strength, or fleeing and running from the difficulties, or it's going to propel you to a reliance on God and to look to him for strength. And what did Daniel do? He prayed. He sought God. He looked to God to be his strength, and it propelled him. And so my question to you is, when you face pressure, when the pressure is on at home, at school, in relationships, in friendships, when you're faced with pressure, does that expose you or does that propel you? The third and final thing is there is power in praise. There is power in praise. God came through for Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. God totally came through. They said, God, we need you. Please come through. Show us what this dream means. And he did. And what did they do in response to that? They praised God. They praised God. And for us to understand that God is worthy of our praise, that he comes through, that he makes a way when it feels like there is no way. When we feel like we're at the end of our rope and we have nothing left, God comes through. He is faithful. And even when he doesn't come through in the ways that we thought that he would, he still is faithful and at work, and he deserves our praise. He deserves our best in every circumstance. And when we choose to pray, that helps propel us towards him, towards relationship with him. And you see the power of Daniel seeking God, praying to God for deliverance, God coming through, and him praising God for his faithfulness, that he is in control, that he sits on the throne, that God can do whatever he wants, and he knows what he's doing. And Daniel knew that at a heart level. He knew that at a heart level. And so realizing there's power in our praise, guys. Praising God doesn't always change our circumstances, but it can change the position of our heart. Does that make sense? Like, praise might not change the circumstances, that your home life and stuff at home is really hard. Man, praise doesn't always change in the moment. Man, my current anxiety that I'm dealing with, or feeling depressed, or just struggling to live another day, man, but it does change my heart and my perspective. And so realizing there's power when we praise God. We're going to read chapter 2 together in our small groups and talk about it and discuss it. And I would encourage you, man, maybe this feels like you've read Daniel many times, or maybe it's your first time. Really evaluate, man, what this story means for you and your life, and how to walk this type of life out, man, the way that Daniel did in his walk with God. And so I'm going to pray and we'll jump in. God, we love you. Thank you so much for Daniel, for someone of faith that when was in a position of so much pressure, chose to praise you, chose to seek you. God chose to lean in, to ask good questions. God, I ask that for anyone that's watching that feels alone, that's feeling lost, that's struggling, God, that they would know that you're with them, that you're walking with them, that you care about them, Jesus. God, help us to be real with one another, God, and that we would enjoy our time together. We love you, Jesus. Amen. Hey, love you guys. Make sure you message us if you're wanting to be a part of the Advent devotional that we're going to go through, and we'll see you next week for Friendsgiving.
Thank you.